Hey guys, welcome back to the show, New Earth Alchemy, where we're trying to make a better world. And in doing that, part of that process is knowledge, right? And so I wanted to create a new series. This is the first of that one, where I more or less go over the books I've been reading. One book at a time, one book per episode. I'm going to try and keep them pretty short, just enough to, because we don't like spoilers per se, even though I don't really read novels, so you don't really have to worry about spoilers. They're just nonfiction, personal development, self-help stuff, scientific textbooks, But I just want to give you like a book by book overview so that you can decide if it's something that you need to read into. Because knowledge is power, right? So this first one we're going to cover is The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. I came across this book because the author was on an episode of Joe Rogan talking about the book, and as a mom myself, because this book is about parenting more or less, well, it's about parenting in the age of technology, when we've restricted our children's freedom to explore the real world and play with their friends and hang out with people, and all the natural ways they learn we've taken away from them, and we've replaced them with devices. Here you go. Stare at this screen for 8 hours a day. Leave me alone. It's educational, right? We can tailor these tech devices to educational content. But what we've done is created a whole generation of very anxious individuals with a lot of mental health problems because we've taken away their natural learning abilities. Because children, what drives them more than anything is playing with their friends. That's all they want to do. They want to play with their friends. It's never enough. They can never play with their friends enough. You can let them play for 14 hours straight and they'll still cry when they have to leave. And this natural urge to play with their friends is what teaches them how to interact with each other, interact with other people, be a part of a team. It teaches them how to have confidence in themselves. It teaches them how to navigate and manage their own emotions and learn how to interact with others and their emotions. It teaches them critical thinking skills and how to problem solve without a grown-up. The research has been done that shows, without a doubt, free play with their friends is the best thing that we could do for our children, or allow them to do. Nothing is more valuable for their cognitive abilities, their mental health, their social skills. And he talks in this book about how somewhere around in the early 90s, suddenly everybody got really afraid of everything and everybody, and they locked their children up. Before this, it was pretty widely understood, believed that the vast majority of people were good individuals. So children were allowed, starting around the ages of 6 or 7, to just go and play with the neighbor kids and roam around the community and roam around the neighborhood unattended with themselves, because it was pretty widespread believed that if something were to happen by chance, which was a rarity even, that there would be an adult nearby that would help them. So children were just allowed to play. They were allowed to ride their bikes. They were allowed to explore the surrounding area. And most of them didn't go more than a mile or two. And that sounds insane, right? A mile or two for your kid to just roam. But it was commonplace back then. And it taught them the skills they needed to be a functional adult, capable of all the things that an adult needs to be capable of when interacting with themselves, with the world, with the people, all the things. And then somewhere around the late 80s to the early 90s, something happened. I'm blaming media and Dateline, even though nothing was actually discussed in the book on what happened. But they just said something happened in the late 80s to the early 90s where a switch was flipped, and now suddenly everyone feels that most people, it goes to the opposite. So whereas before we pretty generally believed that most people were good, and there you only got a couple of bad ones here and there, that now, stranger danger. Everybody's bad. You can't trust anybody. Everybody's terrible. Everybody's waiting to kidnap you, to murder you, do all sorts of terrible bad things to you. And now we've locked up our children because the world isn't safe anymore. So now the children are not allowed to play with one another. But it said that that's not when we started noticing the huge spikes in mental health problems and suicide rates, and that it came in later on, around 2010. And what happened in 2010 is when everybody pretty well started having access to smartphones and tablets and devices and social media. So we became super overprotective in the real world and super protective in the digital world, because, hey, their bodies are physically safe, locked in the house now. Here's a device. You can explore the world like this because it's safer. But turns out it's not safer. It's differently safer. It may be more physically safe, but it was not safe for the mental health of a developing child's brain. So anyway, this book I feel is a absolute must read for parents. It was wonderful. I loved every bit of it. It really it touched on some very interesting points that a lot of people are going to find controversial, but also brings around the points of consciousness, like collective consciousness, and how we've become this giant hive mind, and instead of having our own thoughts, we're really susceptible to the thoughts of others. That's something that we kind of knew, but didn't have such a widespread access and pull of until recently with the internet. I liked it. I thought it was super cool, a really good book. I put it away like real quick. I read this whole book in like a week or two, just binged it. I liked it a lot. It's got some great points on there. It's got all the research, okay? We got all the research. It's not just his opinion on this and that. When he states his opinion, he's like, yo, well, this is my opinion on this. So it feels really unbiased and level-headed. He's pretty upfront with his agenda, because everybody's got an agenda. Every book has an agenda trying to get you to do something or whatever, influence the people that are reading it in one way or another. He's just like, yo, here's the problems that we're seeing in children, and here's ways that we can maybe help these problems in children. And I'm all about that. Save the children from our prior ignorance. And how do we do that? By noticing it and acknowledging it and learning from our mistakes and trying to work together to set up better systems moving forward, right? So that's it. Let me know what you thought about this book if you read it. Would love to discuss. If you find this series of books useful, let me know with a 5-star rating or words or an email. Like, I don't care. Just let me know however you want to let me know, and I'm receptive in all the ways. Super easy to get a hold of. 5-star ratings do help a lot, though, with the algorithm, but also with my motivation to continue on. But until next time, thanks so much for being here. Namaste.